r/AskReddit. People living in small towns. What's the recent scandal? A few days ago, Amber Alert sent out an emergency message about a fellow in a green car who had stabbed his girlfriend and stolen their baby out of San Jose, which is 3 hours north of us. Lo and behold, the guy was caught right at our own downtown gas station when the kidnapper accidentally locked the baby and his keys in his car, which drew attention to him. A good Samaritan from an entirely different town, a tourist, put the puzzle together and put the guy in a headlock until the authorities arrived. Disclaimer, not a small town scandal, just neighborhood news. A gang was trying to extort a grocery store owner. They spray painted a threat on the side of his building and showed up the next day when employees were cleaning it off. The grocery store owner goes back inside, grabs a gun, and shoots one of them. Also, my brother-in-law found a lost cell phone while he and my husband were jogging. As they got home, the cell phone rang. My bill answered, and it was the police. A smoke shop had been robbed, and the robbers took all the employees' cell phones, so they couldn't call the cops, and ditched them a few blocks away, and they wanted to collect it for evidence. Not really recent, but the owner of the petting zoo turned out to be a serial murderer and buried 2 corpses under the goat enclosure. A lot of kids volunteer there and walked over them unknowingly. He murdered the couple and used their house, car, and money. Edit. He murdered more people before this couple. That's why I called him a serial killer. My small town includes a pretty large zoo, and a tapir has recently escaped and is still at large. This reminds me, once in the city I used to live, a red panda escaped on his first day of being in his new enclosure. It was a big city and all trains were shut down because they thought they had seen him next to the train tracks. Turned out that he was just sleeping in a tree next to the enclosure. I'll never forget the day a tiny little red panda shut down the whole train traffic because he was sleeping in a tree. They did not find the tapir yet. How could you not find a tapir? Edit. Well guys, I learned one thing today. Red pandas love to escape, and they are good at it. It's more of a village, but turns out the now 90 years old teacher that everyone had as a teacher wasn't just really forgetful. Turns out she was in a car crash and got short-term memory loss. I have short-term memory loss from a car accident. My phone is my lifesaver. I have alerts set for everything. I also have post-it notes everywhere, and my daughter helps me keep track. At work I have list of daily tasks that needs to be done, and my boss knows to text me instructions because if he tells me I will forget. I totally forgot about my son's doctor's appointment this week. I was supposed to pick him up after school and take him for a checkup. I forgot to put the alert on my phone and got a call from him wondering why I'm not there. All I could say was I forgot. He understands. He lives with it every day. Even my kids text me stuff they want me to remember. I read old text messages every day to try to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. It doesn't always work. My long-term memory is fantastic. Terrible heroin epidemic. Brother's best friend who was fairly close to our family overdosed a few days ago. My brother only has maybe 2 childhood friends left because of this. Sorry to hear that. Just curious. Ohio? Yep, Youngstown, Ohio to be exact. Hey neighbor. Our newly elected mayor, who is a school teacher as well, caused a head-on car crash injuring 2 small children in the other car. She was found to be drunk, and it was 3:30 PM on a weekday. The kicker, she wasn't charged with a crime as of yet, but she did resign after considerable thought. Edit. Spelling. I left my small town years ago, but I was home over Thanksgiving and got an earful. The local grocery store was renovated/expanded after 30 years, and now everything's moved and you can't find nothing. I was home for 4 days and literally every new social interaction with people in town involved the goddamn grocery store and how awful it is now. Spoiler, it actually looks quite nice, and they hang signs over the aisles telling you where things are. You know, like a grocery store. From a small town. My friend's dad ran off with a 16-year-old to a state where they could be legally fucking. His 7 kids were ages 3 to 20. Edit. Yeah, this is still illegal. He was a dumbass. Luckily for him, her parents were shit and didn't report her missing. Well, the latest scandal is that the local amphibians experts are too busy to look at our village pond this year. We only want to make sure we make it good for the wildlife. So now we are on the hunt for a amphibian expert. I have a degree in zoology and a minor in chemical. Head on down to a pool supply place and buy a water testing kit. That will tell you a good chunk of information. If you send me pictures, I'll give you a free look-see and tell you if it's cool or not. There even might be a subreddit where you can find out where the water pH and stuff should be for proper amphibian keeping. Edit. Thank you for the silvers. The only reason I know to use pool test strips is because my buddy is a huge terrarium person and has all sorts of reptiles and amphibians. It's not as comprehensive as sending water samples to a lab, but it gives you the basic general info you will need. They have some that are pretty comprehensive and test calcium hardness and other stuff. During my sister's volleyball game, one of the super aggressive sports dads slapped someone else's kid cause apparently she set the ball into a bad positioning and that caused his daughter to miss the spike. 1. His kid is shit at the game. 2. I played volleyball for a long ass time and my mom sent me footage of the set. She set that ball beautifully for the small league she's in. 3. They won the game, just be happy. The entire community is turned against him right now, and the family of the girl is considering pressing charges, which I feel they should cause this guy has gotten close to crossing the line before, and he needs to be reprimanded for his actions. Edit. A lot of you have commented about how he didn't get his ass beat at the game. No one had the chance, because immediately realized he fucked up, and ran out to his car. He drove away leaving his kid to be embarrassed and alone in a court full of people pissed at her dad. One of the nice moms gave her a ride back to her house, where she spent the night. And on a happier note, I've just learned from my mom that charges are being pressed and investigations into the living conditions in his house are being conducted. I'll update when the results come in. Girlfriend works in a nursery in a medium-sized town. A knife-wielding intruder broke into the nursery and they had the entire building on lockdown. Thankfully nobody was hurt, and the man was quickly apprehended. Edit. Didn't actually enter the building. He was spotted nearby. The nursery was still on lockdown and all the staff and children had to be evacuated to a safe room. A local asshole has been taking people's money to do house repairs and not doing the work. Did it to an elderly lady in her 80s whose daughter is my mom's friend, and the daughter has been telling everyone, and now the asshole wants to sue her for defamation by telling the truth. Guy's as bad as his dad, who ran for mayor and lost badly because nobody liked him and was caught telling lies. Better than last year's scandal. Someone was breaking into seasonal homes and was eventually caught with the stuff, drugs, and firearms. Woman stole money from school. They just trusted her. She lives right next to me. Her kids still go to school there, and the girl was always very quiet, has only said like 3 words to me, and I've known her for about 2 years. The mother is away right now, so the kids are left with their grandparents, whom we are also neighbors with. They have like 12 dogs and they are constantly on our property. They chase our cows and kill our kittens, so we don't have cats anymore. They, the neighbors, said that if we get a dog and it goes onto their land, they'll shoot it. So yeah, basically a shit situation for the kids and everyone else involved. A local dude got sent to a maximum security prison for breaking into his own house. Granted, it was condemned and that was his fault because drugs, but still, dude needed a place to sleep. It was like 10 degrees. He needed to be taken into custody, but Rehab would have been a better place for him. It was his second or third brush with local cops, so they went pretty hard on him. His whole life has been one shit show after another and IDK if anyone could help him at this point, but it just doesn't seem humane to send a guy to the pen for needing a warm place to sleep. It's always hard to see someone who really needs some help be treated with such lack of care. A friend of mine from high school is in jail now because he had undiagnosed schizophrenia and carjacked a pregnant lady. No one was hurt, and the woman was just pretty shaken up, understandably. He grew up in a very poor family, and even if he did get a diagnosis before he had such a bad break, there is no way his family could afford treatment. He has been in jail since 2015, and he is not getting out soon. Jail is not the right place for him. Of course what he did was wrong, and I do not want to excuse that. I only want to highlight the need for other options for people instead of only jail. A married resource officer, aka cop that's at the school all day, messed around with a married teacher. Both had kids, the teacher was fired, and the cop was pulled off of that duty. Nothing that interesting in its own, but it's been the talk of the town for about a month. This is the same town where everyone stares at you if they don't recognize you. Dealt with that the first 2 to 3 years I lived here. Just constant fucking stare downs lol. Population is less than 700. I hate small towns. Edit. Words. Thanks Google autocorrect. Thank you for watching this episode of r/AskReddit, where we took a look on some of the biggest scandals in small towns. Leave a like for more Reddit and funny memes, also subscribe. OKTHX bye.